Yeshiva, the WebYeshiva, and we're going to learn a little bit of the Parsha Beshalach together. I just, keep thinking about the fact that the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim is extensively rendered in the Chumash. The Parshiyot of Shemot, Va'era, Bo, Beshalach, 4 Parshiyot, have to do with Yetziat Mitzrayim. And at the end, after thinking about it and learning the Parshiyot, I have no idea of what exactly is going on. But I'm going to try to explain it to you, and maybe it will be helpful to me as well in understanding. The beginning of the Parsha of Beshalach is Perek Yud Gimel Pasuk Yud Zayin, underlined. Vayhi Beshalach Paro et ha'am. That phrase, when Paro sent the people. Paro sent them. What do you mean Paro sent the people? It wasn't Paro at all. It was HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent them. Paro reacted to the Makat Bechorot. And reminding me of the Paro Makat Bechorot, why was it that it took the Makat Bechorot to get Paro moving on this topic? And all of these conversations that he had with Moshe and Aaron were inconsequential. Moshe and Aaron came to Paro and said, if you don't let them go, there's going to be a Makkah. And there was a Makkah, and they didn't let them go. What the kind of, it's hard for me to understand what was happening exactly, where Paro got that strength from to reject the offer that was made to him to leave Mitzrayim, first to go for 3 days and then to leave entirely. He rejected it. Where did he get that strength from? And then at the end, after Makat Bechorot, immediately, Vayhi Beshalach Paro et ha'am, he sent them. They didn't go on their own. How come they didn't go? What's Paro got to do with this? It was the Makkah, the plague that was brought upon Mitzrayim by Hashem, which caused the Mitzrim to agree. And yet at the end, Pasuk Yud Zayin, Vayhi Beshalach Paro et ha'am. It was Paro who sent them. Why did Paro get such high regard at this pasuk? V'lo nacham Elokim derech eretz Plishtim. God did not let them go derech eretz Plishtim ki karovu. Karovu, it's it was right there. It was the shortcut to Eretz Canaan. And that's where they were going. The Eretz Canaan. Ki karovu. Ki amar Elokim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu assessed the situation and said, Pen yinachem ha'am. Maybe they'll decide to change their minds. They won't go. They'll turn around, Birotam elachama, when they see the battle that is going to ensue. By the way, which battle is that? What battle is the pasuk talking about? Vishabu Mitzrayim. What battle is going to take them back to Mitzrayim? I guess the battle against the Egyptians who chased after Bnei Israel. And therefore, Pasuk Yudchet, Vayasev Elokim et ha'am derech hamidbar Yam Suf, and therefore Hashem made them turn around, go back to Yam Suf. V'chamushim, that's a hard word. Chamushim has the word 5 in it. That's the word I see. But what chamushim are, we'll wait for Rashi to tell us. Chamushim alu b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim. Chamushim alu b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim. Pasuk Yud, V'shamarta et ha'chuk. Oh, I'm sorry. And we want the beginning of בשלח. ויהי בשלח פרעה העם ולא נחם אלוקים דרך ארץ פלישתים, כי קרוב הוא רש"י, ונוח לשוב באותה הדרך. Maybe they'll turn around. I mean, all of this effort, the 10 makot, all of the discussions that Moshe Rabbeinu had, the idea was that they're going to get the Torah and go to Eretz Canaan. Why would anybody think? Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu think Ki karov hu v'noch lashuv b'ota haderech limitzrayim? Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu think that of Bnei Yisrael after all this effort to show them the power of the divine? U'medrashei agada yesh arbe. So Rashi sort of admits he doesn't know what the actual pshat is and why it was so obvious that they might return and might deny the Yitziyah, might deny Yitziyat Mitzrayim. Is that the story we're supposed to tell on the night of the Seder? That it was just touch and go all the time? They didn't want to leave Mitzrayim. They were sort of forced out by the Egyptians. Bir'otam milchama, and then the pasuk says Bir'otam milchama. We said, which milchama? Kegon milchemet vayered ha'amaleki va'knaani. That was a milchama against the Amaleki and against the Knaani. Im halchu derech yashar hayu chozrim. If they would have gone straight to Eretz Canaan, right through the derech haplishtim, hayu chozrim. They might go back. Uma im kishe ekifam derech me'ukam. They went around in a kind of strange way. Amru nitna rosh v'nashuva mitzrayma. They said, as the pasuk indicates, nitna rosh v'nashuva mitzrayma. That even in the midbar, they're being punished. Living in the midbar, they have no way of getting Mitzrayim out of their minds. Im holchim b'pshita al achat kama b'kama. B'pshuta. Im holchim b'pshuta al achat kama. So then certainly they would be able to consider going back to Mitzrayim. Pen yinachem. Maybe God will respond somehow and change the path. Yachshavu machshava al sheyatzu v'yitnu lev lashuv. They will reconsider and they'll think about going back to Eretz Mitzrayim. Vayasev. V'chamushim. You see v'chamushim, the word v'chamushim? We said Rashi would help us out. Ein chamushim ela mizuyanim. Chamushim means they were armed. They were armed to the teeth. When they left, the pasuk says, V'chamushim alu b'nei Yisrael Chamushim alu b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim. V'chamushim, what is v'chamushim? Rashi, ein chamushim el mizuyanim. Mizuyanim means that they were armed, heavily armed. Lefi shegedelim bo panim kemo vatasem besuf. Paneh besuf kamalu. V'chamushim, ein chamushim el mizuyanim. לפי שהסיבן במדבר Chesivam bamidbar gara lahem she'alu chamushim. Since they were sent through the desert, that alu bahem alu she'alu chamushim. She'ilu hesibu derech yishuv, if they had gone through a populated area, not through the desert. If they would have gone through the populated area, lo hayu mechumashim lahem, they wouldn't have been armed. Kol mashet tzrichim, they would not have all the arms that they needed. Ela ke'adam she'over memakom lemakom uveda'ato liknot sham ma sheyitztarech. There are people who travel from a place to place, and they don't carry everything with them, but they take it. They expect to be able to buy whatever they need in the place that they get to. Avokeshehu poresh lamidbar. But when he goes into the desert, tzarich lizamein lo kol hatzorech. He has to prepare everything he might need because he's not going to be able to buy it in the desert. Omikra zeh lo nichtav ki im lishaber et ha'ozen, that this pasuk is written in the way it's written, so because we could understand it. Shelo titma b'milchemet Amalek u'b'milchemet Sichon v'Og. Don't be surprised when you learn about the battle against Amalek and against Sichon and Og. Umadab me'echan hayu lahem umidin umidyan Sichon v'Og umidyan mehechan hayu lahem kli zayin. Where did they get their arms? How could they go to war? I mean, the people Sichon and Og and Amalek, they all came to battle with Yisrael. But where did Yisrael get the arms to fight back with? Shehikum Yisrael becharev. If the Bnei Yisrael won those battles with arms that they had, with swords. V'cheinu omer, a pasuk in Yoshua, v'atem ta'abru chamushim, you will go around armed, fully armed. V'chein tirgem unkelus mezarzin. V'chein tirgem unkelus. Unkelus, however, says the chamushim means they were full of energy. Mezarzin, kimo yad, kimo vayarek et chanichab. V'zariz, v'yarek and chanichab, they were quick. They moved quickly. Chamushim alu b'nei Yisrael. Davar acher, furthermore, Rashi says, chamushim, echad michamisha yatzu, 1/5 went out of Mitzrayim. V'abat chalakim metu b'shloshet yumei afela. So, I mean, this is a statement found in the Medrash in Chazal, and what Rashi is saying is either that he didn't know exactly which pshat was correct, or he meant to say that all of them are correct, that they're all correct, right? The 3 days of darkness were the days that. So in the story of the Exodus from Egypt, there is a mystery, and that mystery is in the word chamushim. The word chamushim. What does it mean exactly? Does it mean fully armed? Does it mean quickly? Does it mean a fifth of those who might have gone out? But agavurcha, by the by, Rashi is also explaining to us something about makat choshech. That makat choshech was not really a makkah. It didn't do anybody in. Nobody was killed in Makat Choshech. There's got to be some other way of explaining it. Rashi says, "Bayarik." There's davar acher. You see this davar acher at the end of the Rashi. Davar acher. Chamushim echad michamisha. That the word chamushim means a fifth. I mean, we know that that fractions are not easily displayed in Hebrew. Certainly not the Hebrew of the Tanakh, but Rashi says here that chamushim means a fifth. What's a fifth? Arba'a chalakim metu b'shloshet yemei afela. So Rashi tells us that the shloshet yemei afela were also devastating, and it was devastating to Bnei Yisrael. They are the ones who were punished in shloshet yemei afela, the darkness, 3 days of darkness, and their punishment was death during that period of time. That's chamushim. Echad michamisha yatzu v'arba'a chalakim metu v'shloshet yemei afela. In the 3 days of darkness. In the 3 days of darkness. So we had a problem with the word chamushim, which Rashi helped us with, and told us some hidden information about the makkah called Choshech, and this is something that was interesting, but we are still left with the problems that existed in the pasuk itself. If we look back at the pasuk, Vayhi b'shalach Paro, what's Paro at Ha'am? And what's lo nacham elokim derech eretz plishtim kikarovu? What is kikarovu? What does it mean that what do we mean when we say that the Jews would have gone back? They would have been enlightened and gone back to wherever they came from. Kikarovu, Rashi, v'noach lashuv ba'oto haderech leMitzrayim. It's very easy to go back to Mitzrayim. Well, why would they go back to Mitzrayim? Aren't they being supported and protected by HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Isn't it obvious to them by this time that God is powerful? And we don't have to say that again and again and again. Vayikach Moshe et atzmot Yosef. The first thing that they did, Moshe, Atzmot Yosef, the bones of Yosef, Imo, Ki Hishbia, since Yosef made them take an oath, Et B'nei Yisrael Lemor, take an oath, Pakod Yivkod Elohim Etchem, V'alitem et Atzmotai, Mizeh Itchem. God will remember you and take you out of this place. That's what Yosef said, right, to the brothers. Ve'alitem et atzmotai, and you should bring my bones. Mizeh itchem. From here to you, to wherever you go. I want to go with you wherever you go. I mean, we have to understand why, but there's a side point why Yosef was different than Yaakov. Yaakov said, right now, I want you to bury me right now in the place that Abraham bought as a burial place in Hebron. Yosef, he said, okay, when you go, take me with you. I mean, the obvious difference is that for Yaakov, Yosef was still the king of Egypt. And as the king of Egypt, he had the power to do things that were extraordinary, like making sure that his father would be buried in Eretz Canaan. But now it was Moshe, who was the enemy of the Mitzrayim, and he probably couldn't pull it off. There's also the idea that Yaakov, who brought Bnei Yisrael to Mitzrayim, was very concerned about the fact that they would not be able to leave Mitzrayim unless he was able to somehow direct them in that matter. So Yaakov was very concerned that they would be able to leave Mitzrayim directly at the time that they were told. Now Pasuk Kaf Aleph. Pasuk Kaf Aleph is a non sequitur. Vashem holech lifneihem yomam ba'amud anan ladchotam haderech. And God led them with a pillar of a cloud, lenachotam haderech, to take them down the road to where they were going. V'layla ba'amud eish la'ir lahem. So even though in Israel they're living a miraculous life, it's totally unreasonable that God would show his leadership, his ability to take Bnei Israel from Mitzrayim to Eretz Canaan. Why did the Psukim say that there was a fear that Bnei Israel would return? Why was that? Pasuk of Aleph and Rashi, Ladchotam Haderech. Lirotchem b'derech asher telchu ba, Ladchotam Haderech, to show them the way. They didn't have ways. They had a pillar of fire. They had a cloud that led them. Shehu kemo laharotchem. Lirot is laharot, to do something, to make something happen. Avkan lanchotam al yedei shaliach. Even in this case, lanchotam lehanchotam. There's somebody who does it. There's a shaliach. There's the fire and the cloud. Umihu hashaliach ha'anan. The Anan is the messenger who is leading the people. During the day, they knew which way they were going. Basically, they could have gone according to the sea. HaKadosh Baruch Hu bichvodo molicho lifneihem. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu bichvodo. Bichvodo, I think here means it was obvious. It was obvious that it was HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bichvodo. They recognized it. Molicho lifneihem. Molicho lifneihem. Umikol makom et amud ha'anan hechin lanchotan al yado. Mikol makom, certainly, amud ha'anan hechin, he readied it, lanchotam al yado, to lead them al yado of the Anan. Shaharei al yedei amud ha'anan, because of the cloud that was leading them during the day. Eim holchim v'amud ha'anan einan le'ora ela le'horatam haderech. And the Anan does not come to make light on the situation, but to just show them the path that they should take. I showed them the path they should take. In the last pasuk, that is in the sheet, Lo yamish amud ha'anan yomam v'amud ha'ish laila livnei ha'am. So it wasn't just that the path to Eretz Canaan through Plishtim was shorter, but that path was also going to be clarified, led by ways, so to speak, in the world we live in. Lo yamish amud ha'anan yomam b'amud ha'ish laila. They were being led by kavod Hashem. It was clear to them that this amud anan, it's amud eish and anan, amud ha'anan and amud ha'eish laila, Amud Anan Yomam and Amud Ha'Eshia, that they're in a miracle, that they're living in a miracle. Why would HaKadosh Baruch Hu suspect them of thinking of returning to Mitzrayim? Thinking of returning to Mitzrayim. As I said before, there are many psukim in the parasha that we could have chosen, but we're going to do a few more and then try to understand what's actually happening. Hashem yilachem lachem v'achem tacharishun. Here Bnei Yisrael are standing before the ultimate tragedy. The Yam Suf is in front of them, and the Egyptians are chasing after them. And I say, like, where did the Egyptians get that strength from? Where did they understand that they could, after being smitten by the Makat Bechorot, by the demise of the firstborn all over the nation, they come charging after Bnei Yisrael as though they didn't want to lose. They didn't want to lose out. Hashem yilachem lachem, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Vatem tacharishun. And you, tacharishun. In other words, we have to look and see who's Moshe Rabbeinu talking to? Hashem yilachem lachem. We went through the Makot. We ran out of Mitzrayim. We have the Anan. We have the Eish, right, leading us to wherever we're going. And Rashi Omer, Bishvilchem, Shem Yilachem Lachem, not Lachem against you, but for you. V'chein ki Hashem nilcham lahem. V'chein, Rashi quotes several psukim. We could look into that, but we haven't got that kind of time. V'chein, Asher diber, v'chein, ha'atem terivun labal. Ma pasuk sevach vav, a pasuk that Tej Vav, I'm sorry. Tej Vav. Tej Vav, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe. Yomer Hashem el Moshe. Ma titzak elai. Ma titzak elai. Well, why are you screaming? Titzak, I guess, means to daven. Why are you davening for salvation? Daber b'nei Yisrael v'yis'u. Go and tell b'nei Yisrael to go, to continue to go through the Yam Suf, and everything will be fine. So you have a disconnect between the people who are davening in a hopeless situation. They understand their situation as being hopeless, and Moshe Rabbeinu, who is trying to encourage them to go on, because Hashem yilachem lechem, v'atem tacharishun, whatever tacharishun means. So Rashi says Hashem yilachem lechem means bishvilchem. That's Moshe's message. God didn't take you out of Mitzrayim so that you should drown in Yam Suf. God took you out of Mitzrayim in order that you should get there. It's Canaan, and you'll get there. Hashem yilachem lechem, Moshe Rabbeinu said, but they don't believe it. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, ma titzak elai. Ma titzak elai. It doesn't say exactly that he was so ekelav, but why are you davening? Daber b'nei Yisrael v'yisau. There's a time to daven, and there's a time apparently when davening is not the proper response. But the proper response is do what you're supposed to do. And Yetziat Mitzrayim is like the great event that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has orchestrated. And he wants it to end positively. And the way to do that is for Bnei Yisrael to rush into the water. Daber Bnei Yisrael v'yisau. V'atem. V'ata. Harem et matecha unetei et yadcha al hayam Uvika'ehu. You, Moshe Rabbeinu, raise up your hand and split the sea. V'yavo'u b'nei Yisrael b'toch hayam bayabasha. V'yavo'u b'nei Yisrael b'toch hayam bayabasha. And b'nei Yisrael will be able to come into the yam bayabasha. V'ani hineni mechazek et lev Mitzrayim. Again, and I will harden the heart of the Mitzrim. V'yavo achareihem. V'yavo achareihem. They will come after them. They will come after them. V'kavda b'faro b'chol chelo. And I will make it difficult for Paro and all of his armies. B'richbo b'parashav. B'richbo b'parashav, his chariots and his horses. V'yadu Mitzrayim ki ani Hashem. V'kavda b'paro b'richbo u'b'parashav. V'yadu Mitzrayim. And the Mitzrim will know. I mean, who cares about these Mitzrim? Maze v'yadu Mitzrayim. And the Mitzrim will know ki ani Hashem. V'kavdi b'paro b'richbo b'parashav. I will make it difficult for the chariots and for the horses. Vayosha Hashem bayom hahu. And there was redemption that appeared for Yisrael on that day at Yisrael, miyad Mitzrayim, from the hands of the Mitzrim. Vayiru Yisrael et Mitzrayim meit al sfat hayam. And suddenly Mitzrayim, the Jews, Vayar Yisrael et Mitzrayim meit al sfat hayam. They saw the Mitzrim die on the sfat hayam. Vayar Yisrael et hayad hagdola asher asa Hashem b'Mitzrayim. Vayiruha mit Hashem, ויאמינו b'Hashem u'b'Moshe abdo. This is probably the most significant pasuk in the story, in the 5 parshiot, Shmos Ve'erabo B'Shalach, 4 parshiot about Yetziat Mitzrayim. This is it. Vayar Yisrael et Mitzrayim meit. Let's look at the Rashi. Mitzrayim meit here. Shepaltan hayam al svato. The sea rejected the Egyptian corpses. They were dead, but they were kind of thrown onto the shore so that people could see. Kidei shelo yomru Yisrael kishem sha'anu olim mitzad zeh, kachem olim mitzad acher, rachok mimenu v'yirdefu ota acharenu. So up to that moment, up to the moment of Kriyas Yamsuf, the sea has collapsed on the Egyptians. All of the soldiers are dead, and they still don't believe. The people of Israel, they say, well, who knows? Who knows if they're dead? I mean, they just disappeared. So Rashi says, it was necessary to put them on the shore, on the opposite shore, so that people would sail and say, oh, there they are really dead. This really worked, this Kriyat Yamsuf. Pasuk Lamed Aleph. Pasuk Lamed Aleph. Lamed Aleph. Vayar Yisrael et hayad hagdola. Ad hagdola asher asa Hashem b'Mitzrayim. V'yiru ha'am et Hashem. V'yaminu b'Hashem u'Moshe abdo. This is it. So I would say, that the purpose of the process that was involved in Yetziat Mitzrayim, the Makot, the fact that Bnei Yisrael did not get out of Mitzrayim until all of the Makot had been rendered, the fact that Bnei Yisrael were not always in line with or in tune with Moshe Rabbeinu, who was going to lead them out of Mitzrayim. All of that is made understandable by these two phrases in the pasuk. Vaya Yisrael et Mitzrayim meit al Mitzrayim meit al Sfat Hayam, and then pasuk lamed aleph Vayar Yisrael et Hayad Hagdola. What's Hayad Hagdola? Well, that's the question. Vayar Yisrael et Hayad Hagdola. So I would say that Yad Hagdola is a way of saying there is nothing beyond. There is no possibility that you could imagine that there would be something more than the Yad Hagdola, something which would indicate with greater emphasis that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge of the world. God created the world, and God is in charge of the world. I mean, that's the emunah that Yetziat Mitzrayim is about. The Egyptians are the contra. Whenever there is a makkah, the Torah says, "Hisbadati es libo," I hardened the heart of Paro. But as I've told you, what did Paro say to himself when God brought the makkah, the plague, upon him? I think that what Paro said was, "We'll see if Moshe Rabbeinu, after I talked to Moshe Rabbeinu and he removes the pressure of the makkah, does that mean that that's the limit? That's what the God of Moshe Rabbeinu can do, and not anymore?" So when the pasuk says, Vayar Yisrael et Hayad Hagdola, what did they see? They saw that the Yad, that the power of HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot be redeemed, that the Egyptians who chose to analyze the situation incorrectly were gone. There were no Egyptians. And in order to make sure that everybody understood that this was the Yad Hagdolah, the Egyptian bodies, according to Rashi, were thrown upon the shore, and everybody could see them. Everybody could see that it was over. There was no redemption for the makkah, for the plague of Bnei Yisrael. So we see from Vayhi B'Shalach Paro that Paro was the one who sent Bnei Yisrael away until the idea of the Yad Hagdolah. Till the matter of the Yad Hagdolah, where Bnei Yisrael were able to understand that this was a kind of a yad of finality. There would be no greater punishment. There was nothing else left of Mitzrayim. They were gone. They had lost the ability to maintain a place in this world. And that's why when the pasuk says, what that means is that they had a svara. They, the Egyptians, thought, well, what's the proper response? You think there's another makkah that's going to come that's worse? Or you think that it's just a bunch of interesting side points that the God of Moshe is able to do? So there's no doubt that the Egyptians were unable to understand truly what was going on. Had they understood it, they would have also deserved to be saved at the end of the day, but they didn't understand it. And they thought that since each makkah comes to an end, that's the ultimate damage that the makkah can do until it has to be rejected. And so we see also that Bnei Yisrael were unable to remove the curse of the idolatrous world of Egypt from themselves and become Avdei Hashem, the servants of God in the fullest manner imaginable. And that's why the Egel HaZahav, the golden calf that was used to kind of create an alternate Godhead in Har Sinai, it reflects the fact that they were not able to rid themselves of the concerns of idolatry. They lived in that world, and much as they strive to rid themselves of that world, it wasn't possible, such that when they left Mitzrayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was worried that they would just turn around and go back. A remarkable feature of Yetziat Mitzrayim. Tov, all the best. Have a good Shabbos. Be well.
Thank you very much. Good Shabbos.
Very much. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Very much.